Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down some hidden math, the math that makes it ridiculously expensive to be poor. But here's the thing, understanding that math, that's the first step to actually beating the system. All right, so let's just dive right in with a story that I bet is going to feel painfully familiar to a lot of you. It's that classic situation where one tiny problem, without any kind of financial cushion, just spirals. So, have you ever had a tiny $300 problem turn into a $2,500 catastrophe? It always starts with something small, right? Like a check engine light pops on. You know you should get it checked out, but you don't have the cash. So what do? You ignore it. You cross your fingers and just keep on driving.
$300. That's all it would have cost to fix it right then and there. Now, for some people, that's manageable. But when you're living paycheck to paycheck, that might as well be $3,000.
And, well, a few weeks go by and, surprise, surprise, crossing your fingers didn't work. That tiny little problem has now cascaded into something huge. Your transmission is shot. And that repair bill, it just jumped to $2,000.
Oh, but we're not done yet, because you got to add in the tow truck fee and the wages you lost because you couldn't get to work. Suddenly, that little $300 problem has ballooned into a full-blown $2,500 disaster.
And here's the real kicker. This isn't just some random bad luck. No, it's a mathematical trap. It's a completely predictable outcome when you don't have access to cash right when you need it.
So, this whole problem actually has a name, and it comes from, of all places, a novel. A brilliant theory that honestly explains this whole thing better than a lot of economists can.
It's called the Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness, coined by the amazing author Terry Pratchett. And it just perfectly nails this paradox. You end up paying a premium for being broke. You're forced to spend more because you can't afford to spend less. Think about that.
And here's how it works. It's so simple. The person who can afford the good $50 boots, they spend $50 once, and they're set for 10 years. But the person who can only scrape together $10 for the cheap cardboard-soled boots, they have to buy a new pair every single year. Over that same decade, they've spent $100. They've paid double, and probably had wet feet half the time anyway.
Now, this whole Boots theory, it's not just some clever idea from a book. It's everywhere. It applies to pretty much every part of modern life, and it creates what we call the poverty premium.
You see it in the most basic stuff. I mean, look at toilet paper. If you've got the cash to buy in bulk at a big box store, you might pay, 50 cents a roll? But if you're broke and can only afford a 4-pack from the corner store, you're paying $1.50 a roll. You are literally paying 3 times more just for the privilege of not having money.
But, this whole premium thing, it gets so much more aggressive. The system is basically designed to punish you for even a tiny stumble. And nowhere is that more obvious than in banking.
So where does a number like 700% even come from? Well, check this out. Imagine you've got $20 in your account. A $25 charge comes through, the bank covers the $5 shortfall, right? But then they hit you with a $35 overdraft fee. Think about what just happened. You effectively borrowed $5 and paid $35 for it. That is a 700% interest rate. It's insane. It's basically a massive wealth transfer hiding behind a service fee.
And this penalty, this premium, it extends to all the big stuff. Cars, you're looking at predatory loans from buy here, pay here lots. Maybe 24% interest on a car that's probably going to break down anyway. Housing, you're paying more in rent than a mortgage would cost, but you're building zero equity for yourself. And then there's the hidden tax on your time. Hours and hours spent at the laundromat or on public transit just trying to get to a store that's affordable. That's time you can never, ever get back.
And beyond all the dollars and cents, there's this heavy psychological cost. There are actual studies on this. When you're constantly worried about money, your functional IQ can actually drop by about 13 points. It's called a scarcity mindset. Your brain is so busy just trying to survive today that you literally lose the mental bandwidth to think strategically about tomorrow.
Okay, I know. This all sounds incredibly depressing. But here's the good news. Understanding this math, this equation, that is the absolute first step to fighting back. The same math that traps you can be the very same math that sets you free. All the standard financial advice says, hey, invest in the stock market, get an 8% return. But wait a minute. If you've got credit card debt at 20% interest, paying that sucker off isn't just a smart move, it's a guaranteed 20% return on your money. The best investment you can possibly make is to stop paying all these penalties.
And that's why we need to talk about the buffer. A small emergency fund, let's say $1,000. This isn't just defense. No, this is your offensive weapon to start dismantling that poverty premium. Look, that first $1,000 is going to be the hardest money you ever save, but I promise you it's also the most powerful. Think about it. Having that buffer switches the whole game from defense to offense. A flat tire becomes just an annoyance, not a full-blown crisis that sends you running to a payday lender. That buffer is what lets you buy the toilet paper in bulk. It's what lets you fix the check engine light for $300 and avoid that $2,500 catastrophe.
So this all leads to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. It's about buying back your freedom. And it all starts with a huge shift in your mindset.
Here it is. You have got to shift your thinking from, can I afford the monthly payment, to, what is the total cost of ownership? That's the key. See, these predatory systems, they want you to focus only on that small monthly payment. Your job is to retrain your brain to see the whole picture, the lifetime cost, all the interest, the real price you'll pay over years, not just this month.
So here's your action plan. 4 simple steps. Step 1, do an audit of your life. Find all those little vampire costs that are bleeding you dry. Step 2, identify the single biggest leak. What's the one thing that's costing you the most? Step 3, attack it. And I mean ruthlessly. Cut spending everywhere else just for a little while to scrape together the cash. And finally, step 4, solve that problem permanently. Plug that leak for good.
Look, once you understand this math, you can stop playing their game and start playing yours. You can stop blaming yourself for being bad with money and realize the system is designed to trip you up. It literally banks on you not knowing the rules. But when you know the rules, you can start to win.
So I want to leave you with a question. What's the pair of $10 boots in your life that's costing you the most? Is it a credit card, a late fee, an old car that keeps breaking down? Find that one thing, and then figure out your first step to buying the pair that lasts. Because solving that one problem, that's your first real step to freedom.